Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I was going to end this, but there was another update on the Syria bombing. Apparently, it's been confirmed. It is Israel. 2 warplanes striking the Syrian base in Homs, Syria. Let's take a look at the story first before I get into it. But like the title says, apparently Israel has gotten sick of murdering Palestinians, at least for the moment, and have diverted their attention to murdering Syrians. Good to know. Flaunt international law on both ends. Israel shot into a crowd of human beings, tens of thousands. They shot with snipers. It was 100 snipers looking into a scope at a sea of human bodies, angry that their land had been taken and they're living in an apartheid state. And while looking in those scopes, in the safety of wherever they were, sometimes looking at people's knees, sometimes intentionally looking at people's face and heads, sometimes looking at people's groins. It's a sniper. They can see where they're looking, and they open fire into that crowd. What do you expect is going to take place with them doing that? Is the sniper incompetent and he accidentally murders a person? Or did the sniper do exactly what the sniper was intended to do? Meaning, that sniper was trained to look into a scope at a human being, at a human body, pull the trigger remorselessly, and hitting them in the knee, in the head, or in the groin. We either want to kill you, or we want you to remember it. Many of the people that they kill being the press. We don't want the world to see it. Now, apparently, they took time from breaking international law on that front. That's a war crime, by the way. That's a war crime. You're shooting into a body of literally shooting into a body with the intention of killing protesters. That's a war crime, at least by the Geneva Convention. But nobody really follows that. It all really does depend on who has the power in the exchange. Since the United States, one nation, can say, no, we're going to scuttle this. I understand it's a war crime. I understand that all of you people are upset by all of these people being murdered. But no. No. We're going to back Israel because we're buddies. So no. There's no justice in this process. The idea that the United States is being a fair arbiter when it's talking about Israel and Palestine is laughable. It's laughable. The press gives it credibility. There is no credibility in this process when you're giving them billions of dollars. They have nuclear weapons, for God's sakes. When they're talking about these guys fighting one another, they're acting like there's some kind of war going on. One is rocks and rockets. The other has nuclear weapons. That's not a war. That's something else. That's not a war. Let's take a look at this. This is RT. RT seems to be Johnny on the spot for this for some reason. 2 Israeli warplanes carried out strikes on Syrian Airbase, Russian Ministry of Defense. 2 Israeli jets, F-15 fighters, targeted Syria's T4 airbase in Homs province, the Russian Defense Ministry said on Monday. The jets fired guided missiles, but 5 of them were shot down before they hit in the airfield. In a statement on Monday, the Russian military said 2 Israeli Air Force jets fired 8 guided missiles in the T4 aircraft. Israeli aircraft did not enter Syrian airspace and launched the strikes while flying over Lebanon. Syrian air defense units have shot down 5 guided missiles, the military said, but confirmed that 3 of the missiles reached the western part of the airfield. Citing its own correspondent, Lebanon's Al Mayadeen channel said early on Monday that the Israel reconnaissance aircraft was airborne during the attack in the Syrian base. The missiles crossed Lebanese airspace over Kurswan and Bekaa, heading towards Syria, according to the broadcaster. Now, a few things to take note in this. Did they shoot down any of the missiles? Who knows? Does it make the Syrian military look good that, hey, they shot 8, we shot down 5? Yeah, I would say if you can shoot down the missiles, then it makes you look good. So there's a potential that they're lying about the number of the missiles that they shot down. Just be honest. We don't know. It's extraneous to the story, with the exception of getting across a mindset to people that, hey, they had the capacity to shoot down some Israeli missiles. It's extraneous from the standpoint of what does it add, but for the propaganda aspect of they had the capacity to shoot down missiles coming in, meaning they weren't defenseless, it could have value. But we don't know. This is just what we're told. What we do know is the overarching narrative. Missiles from Israel hit into Syria based on a chemical attack. And we're expected to believe that Israel cares so much about the Syrians. Oh, we care so much. We're the Israeli population that just murdered all of these Palestinians, but god damn it, we care about the Syrians. They're doing this for the same reason that the United States and the other Western powers are doing this. They want Assad out that seat. Do you understand? They're taking over parts of Syria right now with the idea of leveraging some of the oil that's in Syria. You're being lied to. Israel has no moral standing to strike Syria any more than the United States has moral standing to strike in Syria. They haven't had evidence. They haven't had an investigation. They have squat. In the same way, just like last time, they had no evidence. They had no investigation. They had squat. If you asked Mathis today, he would say, we have no idea who dropped the bomb in Syria, meaning the sarin gas or whatever the gas was, the chemical attack. We have no idea who was the culprit. No idea. It didn't stop them from hitting Syria. My point to you is, just like in the past, just like in the clumsy way in which they went about chemical attack, we must strike, we don't wait for evidence, getting across that it has nothing to do with the evidence, that is a similar ham-handed way in which they're going about this one. Who gives a shit about evidence? We don't care about evidence. Israel clearly doesn't care about evidence. They want to side out that seat. So no, they're not going to wait for any evidence for anything because it doesn't matter. They just look for pretexts. The United States is looking for pretexts. Be very aware of where this is going. Israel is screaming that the United States needs to have some kind of reaction to this. If the United States strikes Damascus, kiss your kids and kiss your wife goodbye. All hell is going to break loose. Be aware. That's all. I don't want to keep this one for too long. 7 minutes is fucking awesome for me. Let's see if there's anybody here. I don't know why anybody would be here this early in the morning. And yet there are. 24-hour lib. Something witty and non-devastating from Putin would be spun into evil. The United States, damn Ruskies. Imagine for the moment that the United States fires on Damascus. Imagine for the moment Russia destroys the forces that fired on Damascus. Let's say 30 Americans was killed, 50 terrorists were killed. Let's say Russia then says, look, there's a chemical stuff here. Here's the chemical trace of what took place there. The United States did that. Now, the Western press will say that's bogus. The Western press will say that's bump. Russia may be able to get the chemical weapons people to know over there to do it. Even if the chemical weapons people said, yes, it is, the press in the United States would probably ignore it. It would probably ignore it. And what they would do is, the United States will have run into hysteria. People like Cenk Uygur will be screaming at the top of his lungs. And now you have this conflict. Russia hysteria ensconced in the country for 2 years. And now you have this conflict. I mean, come on. This is terrifying. Russia is aligned with Syria. If the United States strikes Damascus, they will be well within their right to strike back. The United States is the operating force in this. They're the bully. They're the people who are intruding. They're the ones with no legal basis to be in that country. How are you bitching at Russia if they strike back? Now, in this particular case, the United States will go into hysterics and nothing will be allowed to be a backstop. There is no backstop. There is no place where you can stand back and say, okay, we're going to stop from here. The country has already been primed into this disposition, this peculiar disposition of conflict, completely forgetting the fact that this is international politics, meaning weapons and bombs and guns are involved. Look, I'm just saying, be aware. Be aware. All right, I'm going to end it like this. All right, guys, if you enjoy the content, Jesus Christ, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, there's always PayPal or Patreon. Thanks, everyone.